In the last video, we covered the very fundamentals of this game and what you can do when you weave those fundamentals together to make devastating combos. But I understand that that is not really a representation of what this experience is like when you're first starting out. In this video, I will be teaching you more so how to learn to conquer this game. I can tell you all day long what this and that does, but the important part is that you know how to learn. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for his life. The first thing I want to talk about is your mindset. Like a samurai, I want your will to be like iron and see every failure, every death in this game as an opportunity to grow, instead of an opportunity to sit there and get mad. Getting mad is wasting your energy, and while it is a hard thing to do, I highly recommend that you take every death as a lesson. Every curb stomp that you get as an opportunity to get better. While I am showing you ways to make this game easier, your mindset is going to make or break your experience. If you want to sit there and get mad every 2 seconds, that's okay. But remember to reel it back in, because you can overcome this game. You can overcome your anger, and you will beat this game if you just focus. If you are looking for a general rundown of the mechanics, like I said in the intro, I covered that in my previous video. Let's get started. To make diving into this game as least frustrating as possible, you want to be focusing on the stats strength and stamina, primarily stamina, as it allows you to equip heavier and heavier armor, meaning you will be very cushy while taking giant blows from these heavy hitting enemies. My go-to weapons for this is the axe and the odachi. While scaling is not that important at this low of a level in the game, it is kind of nice to have them scaled from both your primary stats, stamina and strength. On top of that, I believe that axe and odachi are very beginner friendly as they crush the ki out of yokai and humans alike. Just look at how simple and how effective these weapons are. With being able to do high damaging attacks and also crush your opponent's ki, they won't have a time to recover your onslaught. Remnants can be very tough, but with the axe, it makes them no problem at all. With your weapon selection out of the way, the next thing is your yokai card. I believe that brute is the most easy to use, as it does massive amounts of damage and the yokai counter is very easy to pull off. It's just a simple slap upside the head and you get to get a devastating punish on your opponents. When starting a new game, you'll have no skills to help you demolish your opponents, so you have to keep it simple. As we can see, I do simple stance changes. I stay in low when I need to dodge, and I attack the horns to get a stun on the enemy. In most scenarios, low is for evasion, mid is for crowd control, and high is for doing high amounts of damage and striking down your opponent. While I am stance changing quite a bit, just know that this is not really required of you to beat the game. As you get more comfortable, you may or may not figure out how to be as effective with the stance changes. The biggest thing to remember is just get comfortable with all the mechanics at your own pace. It seems I'm no match for this little mini boss at the start of the game. I guess I'll have to go another way and play at a different pace. As I journey deeper into the world, I come across a misty yokai puddle. This is where an enemy will spawn. If you noticed, I ki pulsed on top of the puddle to get rid of it as it was draining my ki. I play very slowly and very methodically as I have two heavy weapons, only striking when I know I can get a hit in, or I can tank the hits. One of my favorite things about this weapon combo is that the vertical strikes are so great at taking out yokai horns, which allow you to stun the yokai and get more hits in. Dodging in high stance gives you a very good roll that is great at dodging huge moves but has very high end lag. Finally, I get the vertical slice that I need and slice his horn off, allowing me to go all in while I'm draining his ki. Remember, once an opponent is at a ki, they cannot strike you until they regain it. Killing a yokai that has spawned from a puddle will now mean that he will no longer respawn, as I have slayed him. Other yokai who do not spawn from the puddle will respawn if you go to a safe zone or you die. I've gotten my first skill point, which means I'm going to buy FLUX. FLUX allows you to restore more of your ki when you change your stance after ki pulsing. It is a ki pulse and then a stance switch, not a stance switch and a ki pulse at the same time. While you are one strong samurai, you are only one man, so it is important to always get the 1v1 or the 1v2 if you can. When you are treading this world, I want you to challenge yourself to try and fight as much enemies as you can and test your limits. As we can see, I have 2 people on me at this moment, but I simply fall back and attack when I have an opening. Guarding, playing it safe, and then attacking when I know that I can strike. As we can see, we have another bow and arrow man up on the roof, and I don't have a ranged weapon at this point in my playthrough. So run underneath the bridge and take advantage of his blind spots. Using the terrain as your weapon is a powerful tool that all samurais use, and you can do the same. With the odachi having such a huge hitbox, I was able to hit both of those enemies with one blow, which is why it has to be one of my favorite weapons to use. You might be wondering why I didn't go for the grapple on this opponent. Well, sometimes the most effective thing to do is to keep hitting them and then slam them while they're on the ground. When you unlock more abilities, this becomes a more viable option than grappling. But for now, grappling will work just fine. Something to keep in mind is that you have 3 hits until the enemy stands back up again. Sometimes you may choose to overwhelm them over and over again while they're on the floor and keep their ki low, or you can do 2 big huge blows and then slam your blade back down on them. If you want more depth on this topic, I'll leave a video in the description that does an excellent job of covering a plethora of different advanced techniques in Nioh. As I grow more familiar with my blades, I gain skill points, and with the odachi, I already know exactly what I want. Same thing with the axe. I want a nice strong combo enders in my high stance so that I can keep overwhelming my opponents. Take a look. Absolutely decimating as a level 1 axe. A special property to note about the axe and the odachi is that they can ignore parry counters. So with most weapons, if you're in low and mid stance and an enemy is guarding, they will deflect your attack unless you are in high stance. However, the axe and the odachi both ignore the deflection while they're in mid stance. These are the only 2 weapons, as far as I'm aware of, that act this way. This yokai will probably be your first big roadblock in the game. He's a tough enemy, but with cutting his horns, I've reduced his ki greatly and have made him much less of a threat. Dodging around and using my high stance to chip off as much ki as I can, until finally I get that opening and he is weak. He's trying to rebuttal, but with 0 ki, he cannot come at me. As he regains his ki, he is already too low for any of it to matter. And while I did take a hit, I'm simply evading every other one, so it was pointless, as he died anyways. Remember to take your time and take things slow, especially if you are not familiar with your opponent. Intel is everything, and because I've been playing this game for a while, I know what attacks he's gonna do and when. A great thing about the odachi is that the range on it is way bigger than it seems. Use it to your advantage to space out your enemies so that they cannot hit you after you strike. There are areas of the games called Dark Realms, and while people who are new to the game may find them very frustrating, if you understand them, you can use them to your advantage and realize that it's not really that big of a debuff, and you're actually getting way more strengths than you are negatives. So, with that being said, the Dark Realm makes it harder for you to regenerate ki, but this regeneration debuff is very negligible. You do more ki damage to yokai, and you also do more ability damage with your yokai abilities. We do not have any yokai abilities equipped just yet, but even with those not being equipped, we can take full advantage of the Dark Realm here by dealing way more ki damage to them and just completely overwhelming our opponents. Remember to ki pulse constantly and consistently, as it is a very big factor in how much your ki goes down. You never want to be caught with 0 ki, as that could actually mean death. especially at such a low level with no good armor. This is how you use the Yokai realm in your favor, without using any Yokai abilities. As we have the cat here helping me take out his key, which is not something I will explain in this video, I'm completely decimating this opponent and he can't do anything. Nothing. I mean, look at that. He's practically dead. The cat got him. I mean, what can you do? Celebratory backflip. Thumbs up. Because it's just that easy when you use the game mechanics to your advantage. So try your best to get that key pulse down. If there's anything you've learned from this video, key pulse, key pulse. My next ability that I'm going to unlock is going to key pulse for me if I perfectly dodge while in low stance. Very useful tool and very fun to use. As we covered just about every important mechanic, it is now time to put that all into practice against a boss. I start off in my low stance, key pulsing and keeping my key. Notice how you can guard and dodge while you're in your low stance. Swapping to my high stance to do as much damage as I can. Remember that guarding and getting down to 0 key is not always a bad thing, especially if your opponent is slow, such as this Mizuki here. I got the burst counter by simply smacking him, and now I'm going in for the punish as he's ran out of key. As I've diminished his key, I got his back against the wall. I can keep attacking and he won't be able to interrupt me, as having no key means he has no defense against me. As he pushes the fight into a Yokai realm, I activate my own Yokai abilities and press my heavy attack in B or circle to unleash my Guardian Spirit and do my Guardian Spirit attack, setting him on fire. As we can see, with all of that putting into practice, he is nothing and goes down without a fight. Not every boss is going to be that easy, and it will take a lot of trial and error, but with key pulsing, guarding, and using all of the tools at your disposals, such as your heavy combo enders, you will be able to win every boss fight. You will have to take the time to learn how each boss operates, but as you get more and more feeling for the game, you will be able to take on new bosses with ease, and you will become the samurai that you always dreamed of being. If you're looking for the rundown on the basic mechanics of this game, my previous video covers all of them in about 4 minutes, plus some bonus tips if you are interested. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you putting the time in to watch my videos as I put in time to make these. I hope you have a good one. Elijah, this video is for you, man. Beat this game, please.